the heart of my village, nestled among the lush green hills of Igbalon, lived a young man named Emeka. That young man was me. My life was simple, woven from the threads of farming yams and selling them at the bustling Ori market. My pockets were often as empty as a dry riverbed in the Harmattan season, but my spirit was rich with hope. One sweltering afternoon, while seeking shade under a giant iroko tree, I found a small, intricately carved wooden box. Inside, it didn't hold gold or jewels, but a single, shimmering cowrie shell, unlike any I had ever seen. It pulsed with a faint, warm light. An old woman, her face a beautiful map of wrinkles, appeared as if from the thin air. She told me the shell was a gift from the spirits, a blessing of immense wealth. It would grant me a fortune equivalent to 1,000 harvests, but it came with a warning. True wealth is not in what you have, but in the hearts of those you share it with. Test their hearts before you reveal your hand. And just like that, she vanished. The next day, I found my modest yam barn overflowing with the finest, largest yams in the entire kingdom. Buyers from distant lands flocked to my stall, paying prices that made my head spin. I was rich, richer than the Oba himself. But the old woman's words echoed in my mind. I hid my newfound fortune, burying the cowries and coins deep in the earth, and continued to live as the humble farmer everyone knew. I decided to put my family to the test. First, I went to my elder brother, Chinidu. He was a man who enjoyed the finer things, his clothes always crisper, his palm wine always sweeter than anyone else's. I found him lounging in his compound, fanning himself. "Brother," I began, my voice heavy with feigned worry, "my harvest has failed. The rains did not come, and the sun has scorched my yams. I have nothing. Could you spare a few coins? Just enough for me to buy seedlings for the next season?" Chinedu scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. "Emeka, always Emeka. Did you not listen to the elders? Did you not make the proper sacrifices? Everyone must carry their own burden. I have my own family to feed. I cannot help you." He turned his back, leaving me standing in the dust of his compound, my heart a little heavier. Next, I visited my younger sister, Adam. She had married a man from a neighboring village and was known for her kind heart. I found her pounding yam, her brow beaded with sweat. "Sister," I said, my voice barely a whisper, "I am in need. My farm has yielded nothing, and my stomach rumbles with hunger. Is there any work I can do for you? Can you spare even a small bowl of fufu?" Adana looked at me with pity in her eyes, but then her husband emerged from their hut. He eyed my worn clothes with disdain. "Adana, what is this?" he asked. "Is your family now a line of beggars at our door? We have our own reputation to think of. Tell him to go." Adana looked down, ashamed, and quietly handed me a single, small piece of roasted yam before ushering me away. It was a kind gesture, but it was clear her loyalty was divided. Feeling a growing sadness, I made my way to my uncle, Mazi Okoro, a respected elder known for his wisdom. He was sitting on his porch, carving a piece of wood. I explained my plight, the failed harvest, the hunger, the desperation. I asked if he could lend me a small plot of his land to try again. Mazi Okoro listened patiently, his eyes never leaving his carving. When I finished, he sighed deeply. "Emeka, my boy," he said, "life is hard. The spirits test us all, but to lend you land, it is a risk. What if you fail again? My own family relies on that soil. Perhaps it is time for you to find a new trade, something you are better suited for." He offered no land, no help, only advice that felt like a stone in my gut. My heart was now a hollow drum. Was this what my family had become? Was wealth the only measure of a man? I had one last person to visit, my mother's oldest and dearest friend, a woman we all called Mama Ni. She was old and lived in a small hut on the edge of the village. She had little, but her spirit was as generous as the morning sun. I found her tending to her small garden of vegetables. When she saw me, her face lit up. "Emeka, my son, it has been too long." Before I could even speak, she ushered me inside, sat me down, and placed a steaming bowl of pepper soup in my hands. You look thin, she said, her voice full of concern. Is everything all right? With tears in my eyes, I told her the same story. The failed farm, the empty pockets, the gnawing hunger. I asked for nothing, simply sharing my sorrow. Mama Nikichi listened, her hand on my shoulder. When I was done, she didn't offer pity or advice. She simply said, "You will stay here tonight. My soup is your soup. My roof is your roof. Tomorrow, we will go to your farm together. My bike is old, but I can still pull weeds. We will work the soil again, you and I. What one hand cannot do, two can accomplish in that moment." I felt a warmth that no amount of gold could ever buy. I had found the true heart the old woman spoke of. The next day, I led Mama Nkichi not to Mabarun, imaginary farm, but to a secret place in the forest. There, I uncovered the pots of cowries and coins. Her eyes widened, not with greed, but with sheer astonishment. I told her everything about the magic shell, the tests, and how only she had passed. I built her the most beautiful house in the village, right next to my own magnificent home. I ensured she never wanted for anything for the rest of her days. My brother, my sister, and my uncle soon heard of my fortune. They came to me, their mouths full of apologies and excuses. "We were just testing your resolve," my brother claimed. "I was afraid for you," my sister cried. I listened to them, but I did not forget. I was not cruel. I gave them enough to live comfortably, but I did not welcome them into the heart of my home. That place was reserved for Mama Nikechi, the woman who offered me everything when she had nothing. I learned the greatest lesson of all, that true family is not always born of blood, but forged in the fires of kindness, loyalty, and unconditional love. My wealth was vast, but my greatest treasure was the love of a woman who proved that the richest heart is the one that gives freely. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tailies from our village. See you next time. The day my life changed, the sky was an ordinary shade of blue. I was sitting in my beat-up car, listening to the radio drone on, when they announced the lottery numbers. One by one, they matched the crumpled ticket in my hand. My heart hammered against my ribs, a wild drumbeat of disbelief and euphoria. 6 numbers. Millions. It felt unreal, like a dream I'd wake up from at any moment. But the ticket was real. The numbers were real. And suddenly, my world had tilted on its axis. My first instinct was to scream it from the rooftops. To call my mom, my brother, my cousins, everyone. To tell them our struggles were over. I pictured their faces, the shock turning to joy. But then, a colder, more cautious thought slithered in. For years, I'd been the one everyone turned to. The reliable one, even when I had nothing to give. I'd lent money I never saw again, co-signed on loans that and listened to endless complaints without a single, "How are you doing?" What would happen if they knew I was a millionaire? Would their love suddenly become more ... available? So, I made a decision, a secret, heavy and thrilling, settled in my chest. I wouldn't tell a soul. Not yet. First, I needed to see. I needed to know who my family really was when they thought I was still the same old me, just scraping by. I went through the motions of claiming my prize, my hands shaking as I signed the papers. I hired a financial advisor and a lawyer, setting up trusts and investments, securing my future in a way I'd only ever fantasized about. I put the bulk of the money away, untouchable for now. To the outside world, nothing had changed. I still drove my old car, lived in my small apartment, and wore my frayed work clothes. The only difference was the weight of the secret, a constant companion. Then, I began my experiment. I decided to ask for help. It was a simple test, a reversal of our usual dynamic. I started with my older brother, Mark. I called him, my voice intentionally strained. "Hey Mark, I'm in a really tight spot. My car's transmission is shot, and the mechanic is quoting a fortune. Primera te to ask. But, could you possibly lend me a few $100? I'll pay you back next month, I swear." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. "A few hundred," he finally said, his voice tight. "Man, things are tough for me to write now. The kids need new shoes. You know how it is. Hust. I can't swing it. Sorry." He didn't ask for details. He didn't offer any other kind of help. Just a flat no. I remembered the $5,000 I'd given him for a down payment on his house. A gift I told him he never had to repay. A bitter taste filled my mouth. "Okay," I said quietly. "I understand." Next was my cousin, Sarah. She was the one who always called me for a girls' night out, which usually meant me paying for her drinks and dinner. This time, I called her. "Sarah, I'm so embarrassed to ask this," I began, using the same story. "But my rent is due and I'm a little short. I just need a small loan to tide me over." Her response was immediate laughter. "You? Short on rent? You're the most responsible person I know. You'll figure it out. Anyway, I was calling to see if you wanted to grab sushi tonight." My treat next time. Promise. The casual dismissal stung more than Mark's outright rejection. My financial crisis was a joke to her, an inconvenience interrupting her social plans. I politely declined her offer. The calls continued, each one a small paper cut to my heart. My aunt, who I'd helped move 3 times, said she had her own bills to worry about. My uncle just grunted and changed the subject. No one offered help. No one offered sympathy. No one even seemed to care. They had all taken from me for years, assuming my well was bottomless. But the moment I asked for a single drop of water, they turned their backs. The only person left to call was my mom. My hands trembled as I dialed her number. She had always been my rock, but she was also a warrior, and I hated to burden her. Still, I had to know. I told her the same story, my voice cracking for real this time. "Mom, I'm in trouble. I don't know what to do." Unlike the others, she didn't hesitate. "Oh, my sweet child," she said, her voice thick with concern. "Don't you worry about a thing. I don't have much, you know that, but what I have is yours. I have a little bit saved for my pension. It's not a lot, but it's a start. We'll figure out the rest together. Always." Tears streamed down my face. She had next to nothing, but she was willing to give me everything. In a world that had suddenly felt so cold and transactional, her love was a beacon of warmth. That phone call was the final piece of the puzzle. I finally understood. The money hadn't changed me, but the thought of it had revealed the true nature of the people around me. The next day, I drove to my mom's house, not in my old clunker, but in a brand new, safe, and reliable car I'd bought for her. I walked in and handed her a folder. Inside was the deed to her house, fully paid off, and a bank statement for a retirement account I had set up in her name, with enough money to ensure she would never have to worry again. She stared at the papers, then at me, her eyes wide with confusion. And so, I told her everything. The lottery, the secret, the phone calls. I watched his understanding, and then a deep sadness washed over her face. She wasn't sad for herself, but for the family she thought she knew. We hugged for a long time, a silent acknowledgement of the painful truth. As for the rest of my family, a few weeks later, my brother called again, his voice suddenly friendly. "Hey, little bro, heard you came into some money? That's fantastic. So, about that new business idea I had, I let him talk, listening to the undisguised greed in his voice. When he was finished, I took a deep breath. "Mark," I said, my voice calm and steady, "I remember when I asked you for a few $100s for my car. The line went silent. I didn't cut them out of my life completely. They're still my family. But the dynamic has changed forever. There are no more handouts. No more one-sided favors. Instead, I invest in my mom's happiness and in my own future. I started a small foundation to help people in my old neighborhood. People genuinely struggling, the way my mom was willing to help me. Winning the lottery didn't just give me financial freedom. It gave me clarity. It was a painful, heartbreaking test, but one that I desperately needed. It taught me that true wealth isn't about the number in your bank account. It's about the people who are willing to share their last dollar with you, not the ones who only show up when you have millions. And for that lesson, I am eternally grateful. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever felt alone or taken for granted, know that your worth isn't defined by what you can give to others. Take care of yourself first. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.